The James Webb Space Telescope pointed to the beginning of the universe, and he found something that shouldn't exist: silence. In certain regions, he saw large, bright galaxies that were too mature, as if they were ready too early. But in other, where cosmic life should also be emerging, there's almost nothing there. It's as if the universe had two different ages at the same time. And now scientists are beginning to suspect something frightening. Perhaps Webb isn't finding a void. Perhaps you're reaching a limit. But silence, in science, it's never empty. When a telescope looks to the deepest point in time and doesn't find what it should, that doesn't mean nothing exists. It means that perhaps we are looking at something that was not meant to be seen. In the previous video, you saw how the James Webb Space Telescope found something resembling a wall at the beginning of the universe. A region where there should have been signs of the birth of the first cosmic structures, but where there was almost nothing. Today, you will understand what came after this discovery, what scientists began to suspect, what hypotheses emerged, and why some physicists believe that the James Webb Space Telescope may be approaching not the beginning of the universe, but the very limit of the concept of beginning. And finally, an even more unsettling question: what if the universe didn't have just one beginning? Ever since the James Webb Space Telescope began observing the deepest regions of the cosmos, it has created an uncomfortable paradox. On one hand, he found galaxies that were large, bright, and far too mature for an extremely young universe. Galaxies that, according to current models, would not have had enough time to form. On the other hand, he found regions that were too quiet. Vast patches of sky where something should appear, but it doesn't. The problem isn't just the absence of galaxies. The problem is that these two results directly conflict with each other. If the universe was capable of forming complex structures so early, why do other regions seem trapped in an almost primordial darkness? This suggests only two possibilities. Either our understanding of the formation of the universe is incomplete, or are we confusing the absence of light with a real physical limit of observation? And this is where the story starts to get even stranger. There is something that is rarely explained outside of professional cosmology. The universe has not always been transparent. In the first moments after the Big Bang, space was so hot and so dense that light simply could not travel freely. It collided with particles, was absorbed and scattered in all directions. Even if there were light sources, that light didn't travel far. The universe was like a thick fog, impossible to penetrate. During that period, there were no stars like ours. Organized galaxies did not exist. There were only clouds of gas, dark matter, and small fluctuations. Only hundreds of thousands of years later, when the universe had cooled sufficiently, was light finally able to move freely through space. This event left a signature known as cosmic microwave background radiation. This radiation is, to this day, the oldest boundary that we have been able to directly observe. The unsettling detail is that the James Webb is trying to see even further. He is trying to observe regions so ancient that they may be very close to that boundary between an opaque universe and a transparent universe. In other words, he may be trying to observe a time when light didn't yet know how to travel. If that's true, then that void isn't a hole in the universe, it's a veil. After these unsettling observations, the scientists began to wonder, is this just a coincidence, or are we approaching a fundamental limit? To try and answer that, they did three things. First, they began repeating the observations in different regions of the sky, trying to find out if the pattern of silence repeats itself. Second, they cross-referenced the James Webb data with maps of the cosmic microwave background radiation, looking for unexpected correlations. And third, they ran gigantic simulations on supercomputers, recreating entire universes from the very first moments after the Big Bang. And some of these models have begun to produce disturbing results. In certain scenarios, the universe is not born in a perfectly uniform way. It emerges with regions that evolve at different rates, as if parts of the cosmos awaken before others. This would create zones where star formation is delayed, or even blocked for long periods. Regions where matter exists, but light takes a long time to appear. But there is an even more radical hypothesis. What if the Big Bang wasn't a one-off event? Some physicists argue that the Big Bang was not an absolute point in time, but a transition, a phase shift in space-time itself, like water turning to ice or ice turning into steam. In this scenario, what we call the beginning of the universe would simply be the moment when it became observable. Before that, a completely different state of reality could have existed. A state without stars, without light traveling freely, no more time as we know it. If that's true, then James Webb isn't failing by not seeing beyond the wall. He's doing exactly what he should be doing. He is showing that there is an absolute limit to what can be observed. This leads us to a disturbing comparison. Inside a black hole, there is an event horizon, a point beyond which no information can return. Perhaps the universe as a whole also possesses something similar, a cosmic horizon that separates what can be observed from what can never be known directly. Not because our instruments are weak, but that's because the very structure of space-time prevents it. Perhaps science isn't failing by not seeing the beginning of the universe. Perhaps the beginning is simply not something that can be seen, and this completely changes the way we think about the origin of everything. The James Webb Space Telescope may never reveal the birth of the universe, but it can prove that there are fundamental limits to knowledge. The most powerful telescope ever created looked into the past and found silence. But perhaps this silence is not empty. Perhaps it is the echo of something that existed before light, before time, before the very reality we understand. If that's true, then James Webb's greatest discovery is yet to come. If you want to continue exploring the deepest mysteries of the cosmos, subscribe now to the Mysteries of the Universe channel, because the next video will make you question whether our universe is the first or just another one.